from one franchise who's trying to figure out what they're gonna do to another franchise who's saying what else they're gonna say about us now, because we really the mission's accomplished in some people's eyes as far as winning a Super Bowl. Now, this fan base here, if you're in the NFL chat, you ain't gotta be in the NFL chat. If you know an Eagles fan, you already know what time it is, and you know we about to go with this. Acho had a lot to say about a certain other franchise in the NFC East, and then Nolan Smith took to Twitter and replied to it. But we're gonna listen to what Acho had to say before I tell you what Nolan Smith reacted to.
I was watching Dave the whole time.
Now, once this came out, Nolan Smith said, "Bro, you gotta be top two." He meant to say haters, but he put, "Bro, you gotta be top two hates and not two. It doesn't cost nothing to show love and say them boys did their thing." So when you first see the tweet, you like, okay. But one thing I will say is, Acho, some people say I favor Kyrie, but one thing I would say is, well, maybe if I was 6 feet and I played in the NBA and then I had millions of dollars and I had tattoos, you could say that. But I'm not. So at the end of the day, Nolan Smith, was he out of line? I'm gonna say he wasn't out of line because again, I can't tell him how he reacted to or what his perception of that video was, but I'm gonna tell you what my perception of that video was. If you as an Eagles fan took that as a slight, then I don't know what you were listening to, because I heard him say nothing but bad things about the Dallas Cowboys and saying they're one all season away from getting a Super Bowl offensive line, getting a Super Bowl tight end, getting a Super Bowl wide receiver. Then he talked about the cornerbacks. If you need all of these things, we all know one all season isn't going to fix this. So why would you even be in an uproar to say that he was actually hating on your team? Unless you were looking at it on the flip side and saying, you're thinking my job is easy. But then you had the guy with the red jacket stop him and say, wait, wait, wait. So we just going to say, is that easy? And then as Acho was saying all these things that the Cowboys need, note that this guy in the red jacket was the first to say the quarterback. And then Acho was like, cornerbacks? Because he really wanted to say, well, they need a quarterback as well to win the Super Bowl. And we all know what the guy with the red jacket has to say about Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks. So do I think Nolan Smith was out of line? He may have jumped the gun because of what he heard, or maybe somebody just told him. Maybe he didn't watch the full clip. He just heard one off season away and went and reacted to that. But off that clip, I felt like he was more disrespectful to the Dallas Cowboys than anything. So Nolan, you got a ring. Don't be so salty, man. Y'all did y'all thing out there. Jim? You on mute.
Okay. All right, man. Let's brace ourselves real quick. All right, so Acho. First, Nolan Smith. I want to say shout out to you because year one, you got drafted late in the first round, and you didn't really get your opportunities, right? And then this year, he got his opportunity, especially in the playoffs. He had 4 sacks. I think he forced a fumble. He had some key plays also down the stretch into the regular season, right? So he had some big moments in this Eagles run. But I don't think Acho was hating. All right. I don't think Acho was hating on the Eagles. He has been giving the Eagles a lot of credit. Since the Eagles got to the Super Bowl, he been really high on the Eagles, especially Jalen Hurts. He's been saying all this stuff. He said Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback. He trusts Jalen Hurts more than any other quarterback in the NFC. He mentioned that. He talked about the Eagles, this and that. Eagles should be the favorite, not the Lions. So he's been on the Eagles side all year. And the segment was about the Cowboys at the end of the day. If anything, I don't think he was dissing the Cowboys. Acho got this thing where he just like say a lot to try to get something across, right? And that was one of the moments when he just said a bunch. And I think as he was saying it, he was like, dang, I'm saying a lot. Like, this is a lot they got to do to get to the Eagles. All right? But, Tomo, don't be mad at me, man. All right? So.
Go ahead. You got the big screen. Go ahead. Now I'm mad.
Okay. All right. All right. So, all these moves he's saying the Cowboys have to do. This didn't happen in just one offseason. Let's stop saying that. I get it. They got the 2 rookies. They got Zach Bond and they got Saquon. And they got an offensive lineman. But they've been had Smitty. Right? They've been had Dallas Goedert. They've been had in a terrific offensive line. They've been had Jalen Carter. They've been had Jordan Davis, right? So they had pieces on their. They've been had Slay. They've been had pieces on their team before this offseason. This been building over offseason. But here's a big difference between the Eagles and the Cowboys when it comes to Super Bowl. Now, Super Bowl is different from NBA because it's only one game. I mean, Brock Purdy made the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo made it to the Super Bowl. So I do agree with Acho in some bit if you know, because I know like all right, Shady try to throw in Dak, all right. Do I think Dak could get this team to the Super Bowl? Yes. You know what I mean? Because the defense was incredible. It was incredible. All Dak had to do, I mean, it was incredible. If he had Saquon Barkley, it's incredible. But I also understand LaShawn McCoy when he don't really believe they can get there with Dak. Because Dak have shown in multiple games to just fold, bro. Like he just has. You know, both times at the 49ers, he didn't show up. You know, the last two playoff games he lost. He did show up against Tom Brady. I always go back to the year before that he was healthy against the Eagles when he didn't play well. You know, he got played by Carson Wentz when they had all those injuries. So I get where LaShawn McCoy is coming from when he says that the Cowboys aren't off season away because their quarterback is Dak Prescott. And that's why when me and Tomo had that segment, when Dak Prescott when Dak Prescott said what he said, I said I like what he said because he's been one of the main reasons why they can't get by. And I feel like him saying that is that he gotta take responsibility and he gotta be better. Because if Dak Prescott is better, because Jerry has built good teams around Dak. I thought that Brock Purdy's first year when they beat y'all, when y'all beat the Buccaneers and the 49ers beat y'all were good enough that year to beat the 49ers. This Dak didn't do his part. That defense did terrific. They held the 49ers to 19 points the whole game. 19 points. You know, and with that 2 turnovers, they still lost 19-13, I think. 19-4, 19-13, 19. It was a one possession game.
Yeah, it was
So
1913.
19-13, one possession game. So that one thing I can't say about Jalen Hurts.
And that was with
All
Jimmy
the,
G, not Brock Purdy.
1913.
no, that
Oh, that
was
was Brock.
That was
Oh
with
no,
Jimmy
no, you're
G.
right. That was Jimmy G. You're right. That
Brock
was
Purdy
Jimmy
No,
wasn't even in
Brock,
the
G.
Brock,
league
yeah,
yet.
Brock was the Eagles.
You're
Brock
right.
played
That
the
was
Eagles.
Jimmy G.
Yeah. Brock played the Eagles.
Dang. That was Jimmy G. Oh, we got
All
super
right,
super.
Joe. All right, Joe. Coming from dang, that was Jimmy G. Like, you still had a chance, you know.
All right, let's get this super chat in real quick. All right. Whoa, nice. Dang, y'all been a minute. Shout out to TYP for being a member for 19 months. Co-host of In the Red Corner with my boy Tomo. All right. Shout out to the superstar member also. Shout out to the best sports network, especially the best network. Forget sports. Shout out to the best network. Breaking news: Kid Austin. Come on, bro.
I ain't gonna say nothing. Go ahead.
Kid Austin is ill, so the Secure fight was it the scratch on his face? I'm fine. Secure fight is canceled. Watch In the Red Corner tomorrow live for more and a surprise. Hashtag RRC the MVP. Oh, yo, that just made me mad. I'm looking forward to that fight. All right. Anyways, go ahead, Tomo. I know you got some fish. I'm gonna go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I'm about to say Dave.
Was Nolan Smith out of line?
Oh, was he out of line? Yes, he was.
Oh, I'm
Sorry.
about to say.
He was. He was. He was out of line. My bad. Go ahead, Dave.
Just like Joe said, yes, he was out of line. I don't know what he was listening to. I don't know. Maybe it's because when he said linebacker, he mentioned Zach Bond, and he was like, wait, I was here last year. What you mean? So that could be it right there. But let's be honest, Nolan Smith, you did not have what they would consider a good year last year. The whole defense didn't have a good year last year. The defense was ranked bottom 25 in the league. It was probably 30th, 31st, 32nd. It was one of the worst defenses in the league last year. And yes, you won 11 games last year. You were 11-7. You made it to the playoffs, but then you got bounced in the first game. AJ Brown wasn't there, and the defense was putrid. Let's just be honest about it. And one of the weakest things that the defense had was the linebacker crew. And this is one thing that even some of your Eagles fans that are in our NFL chat can admit to, because they've said it before. Kev has said it himself that the linebacker crew was probably the weakest thing on the defense, and I believe AJ has said it as well. This isn't something that's new. The linebacker crew for the Eagles was not good last year. It wasn't. Let's just be honest about it. They had some good pass rushes, don't get me wrong, but the defense overall did not play well. Bradbury was cranberry juice. He was last. He was getting burnt. He was getting killed. Slay was still Slay, but he was getting cooked on in a few games. He got cooked when he played against the 49ers. He got cooked against Jettis last year. He was getting burnt last year. This year, everything had changed. Linebacker crew got better. Zach Bond had came in and made plays where a lot of people didn't think it was possible for Zach Bond. You got Oren Burks, who was actually with the 49ers last year. He did not look good last year. He played a lot better this year with the Philadelphia Eagles. That completes your linebacker crew. And Nolan Smith, you stepped up this year. You played a lot better this year. Now, one thing that we knew it was good was your defensive line, because you had Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. We know that the defensive line was going to be fine. And you still had Brandon Graham. So you still had another pass rusher out there. Yes, I know you lost one, but he ain't do nothing when he went to the Jets. He went through a whole lot this offseason. We don't know what's going on with him, but Hassan Reddick is with the Jets now. You don't got to worry about that. You drafted 2 rookie cornerbacks back to back. You drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, and you drafted Cooper DeJean in the second round. A lot of people were saying that Cooper DeJean should have been a safety, or just, that's all he could do. But he came in and played corner and played really well as a rookie corner this year. Got a Super Bowl interception, turned into a touchdown on his birthday. Quinyon Mitchell has been one of the best cornerbacks in the league this year, not just as a rookie, but one of the best cornerbacks in the league this year, because he allowed maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns all season, maybe.
Scary Terry.
Scary
I ain't
Terry's
on mute.
one.
My bad. I thought I was on mute.
I mean, he got a TD.
That's the kind of offseason that the Cowboys have to have. And guess what? This is what Joe said in the NFL chat. That's not one offseason. That's off seasons. So it's going to take a while for that to happen. It's not going to happen in one offseason. Now, it's possible because the Cowboys can figure out a way to make some money, make some trades to do something. But what's one of the things that's bad about the Cowboys right now? Defensive line still hasn't been necessarily what it needs to be. And yes, you could say maybe they have Super Bowl caliber cornerbacks. I think they have one Super Bowl caliber cornerback, and that's Trayvon Diggs. I'm still questioning about Deron Bland, because we saw what happened when he had all his interceptions. He also got burnt a lot. So we gotta hold that a little bit. Then when you look at everything else when it comes to this team, they don't have a number 2 wide receiver. They don't necessarily have a solidified running back. The offensive line is good. Don't get me wrong. The offensive line has been good for a while. But the offensive line is still kind of sort of getting old, so you might want to address that a little bit. Tight end, Jake Ferguson, calling him a Super Bowl caliber tight end, I think that's a little far-fetched. It's a little far-fetched to call him Super Bowl caliber tight end. He's a good tight end, don't get me wrong, but Super Bowl caliber is a little too far. He hasn't proven that yet to be a Super Bowl caliber tight end. But if you look at the Cowboys other than this year, they've won what? 12, 13 games the last 2-3 years?
12.
So are they really that far off? I wouldn't say that they're that far off, but that's the regular season.
There you go.
Playoffs, totally different. They are far off when it comes to the playoffs. Let's just be honest about it.
They far.
Let's just be honest about it. They are far off when it comes to the playoffs. It's regular season. They are right there, because they're right there with the 49ers. They're right there with the Lions. All the other teams in the NFC that have been there competing in the NFC Championship game over the last few seasons, they're right there with them in the regular season. Playoffs is when things change. That's the only thing. So there's still a lot of questions that the Cowboys have to answer, and Jerry Jones is the one that's answering those questions. Now, is he going to have an offseason where he signs and trades and drafts guys that's necessary? When have we necessarily seen that consistently with Jerry Jones? We have not seen that consistently with Jerry Jones. At least the last 2 years, we haven't seen that consistently. Now, he did draft Micah Parsons, which is a key thing, but Micah Parsons goes missing in the second half of the season. He does it almost all the time. Trayvon Diggs got hurt, and he was still pretty much injured last year. So that's something that he had to recover from. Like I said, the defensive line is not where it needs to be. So they still have a lot of things that they need to change. And then they lost coordinators. We don't know who their head coach really is. I mean, we know who he is, but we don't know what to expect from him. So are they far off, playoff wise and Super Bowl caliber wise? Yes. But regular season wise, no, they're not that far off.
Oh, Dave, I want to say one thing. It was Brock Purdy.
That was Purdy?
That was Purdy. I went back and looked. I remember
That was.
That's why a lot of people killed that because they was like, bro, they held CMC to under 100 yards.
Yeah.
I had to remember it was.
They beat the Seahawks first.
Yeah.
And then they played Dallas. And it was supposed to be Dallas against the Eagles in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
We had. Dang.
Yeah, that messed that one up.
You're right.
I'm telling you, bro, like that's the big difference to me is the I mean, I'm still like looking at that like, yo, I need you to show me something. I'm like we had a.
But that was I got that's not to cut you off. That's why I had an argument of him being all pro last season. Because I'm like, okay, he all pro because he got the stats and he beat bad teams. Brock Purdy beat good teams and he also had the stats to go with it too.
He was second team all pro.
It doesn't matter. He was all pro.
That means a lot because if you say all pro, they're gonna think you mean first team, and that means he was way better than everybody.
Whether they don't say second team all pro hurts, they say all pro.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm just letting you know, man.
That
was my argument last year about him being AP over Brock Purdy because I feel like Brock Purdy had a really good season and he was beating good teams. So,
but you know why they did that though? Because that was the CMC effect.
I know.
There we go. I'm glad we agreed here, fellas. He was overreacting. Be ready in the comments.
He definitely overreacted. I don't know what he was listening to, but his ears must have been bleeding because he heard everything wrong.
I mean, you know, it's been happening all week with the Eagles. You got to think. A lady came out and said it though, and I was glad she said it. No, not a lady. Don Staley said it. She was like, "We've been losing for so long that we got to celebrate for them L's that we took. So this is why we act in the way we act." And I was like, you know what? Touche. I give you that.
So Tomo, you weren't mad at my comments about that? I feel like
I could go back and forth about it, but not, like you said, wrong time. We'll do it another day. I can't defend him right now. Not right now. He played bad last year. It is what it is.
I was like, dang, I remember my notes. My tongue was mad at me when I say this.
Nah, some of the things is on point. Like he got to step up. He has to step up, and he knows that. Now I can come on here and defend some of the things that he didn't have that other quarterbacks had in those playoff games. But again, you got to step up. You know, throw an interception and your defense get you the ball back. It would be nice. It would be nice.
No, for real. Like that's why context matter.
Yeah.
Context
But
matter.
I like another thing that Kev said too. We need to set the precedent. Archwell needs to set the precedent.
That's something that needed to be said in earlier because I didn't think that my opinion mattered, but apparently it did. I needed to say something.